Good evening, good evening, good evening.
Good
I hope
evening.
you can tell by these smiles that it is Monday. We have not yet gotten the week. It has started off great. It has started off wonderfully, and we are here with you on the Effective Living Life Management Agency. Come
Yes.
on, everybody. Make sure that you start those shares, make sure that you start those likes, and make sure that you tune in deeply as we look at, will it kill you or will it skill you?
Hmm.
Now, with me, I am going to have TM Ernesto Williams coming on and popping in a little bit later. But right now, I've got a dynamic young woman with me who is well versed in speaking, in mentorship, in training, in life lessons. There's no shortage of life tips for Madam TM here, and she is going to share with us this evening and let us know all about it. How are you, my fellow Toastmaster?
Good evening, listening and viewing audience. Good evening, Toastmaster Smith. I am well. I am doing great. Today is a beautiful day, no matter what. And I'm just thankful to be here, thankful to be on the show. I thank you for the invitation. I'm just glad to get started and dig right in.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. I love it when you're ready to go. Because you're ready.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting a message from Williams, and he is coming to join us in a minute.
Okay,
So
great.
let's give a little overview on what it is that the Effective Living Life Aid Management Agency is. So If you have not been born after, let's say, 1990, or
Mm.
maybe even if you have, or if you haven't been living under a rock, you've heard of Coach Ricardo Miller. And so the Effective Living Life Management Agency is his earth. It is his baby. It is living effectively. Now, we always want to live. A lot of us, we just alive. We just hanging out here and just waiting and allowing time to pass. But his goal through this agency is for us to live and not just live, but live effectively. Be intentional about what it is that you're doing, have purpose in your life, and not just have that purpose, but execute it effectively.
Mm-hmm.
To go ahead and make sure that the steps that you are taking are intentional, purposeful, and meaningful. And so, if it is that you want to get in contact with him, you see the website down at the bottom, www.ricardomiller.com. We've got the one on one coaching. Here's the flyer. We've got group coaching. Here's the flyer. We've got a cruise coming up. Here's the flyer. He's got a book out. Here's the flyer. Promotion at its best, isn't it?
That is, yes, indeed. I was looking at that shirt. I need a shirt like that. Create a life you don't want to take a vacation from. I need that type of shirt.
Right on cue. Absolutely. It's not just a slogan, it is a lifestyle. You want to not have to be counting down the days the
Yeah.
way that I am as an educator right now, counting down the days until
This is
summer
summer.
break. And then you're counting down the days until Easter break. And then you're counting down the days for Christmas break.
Yeah.
No, we need to
No,
learn how to build a life that we don't need a vacation from.
that's right.
So let's
Mhm.
get into this just a little bit. And we're looking at Ernesto Williams. Hey.
Good evening.
Hello, good evening. Had a little bit of technical difficulties, but I think I got it all worked out now.
Good,
Yeah, I
good.
think you're good. I think you're good. Um,
Mhm.
haven't jumped into anything yet. We were waiting on you. You are the prince at the ball tonight.
Mhm.
You humble me.
Yeah,
See
you
how
are.
brilliant Miss
You
Pia
got
looks.
on the side, so I don't know. You're gonna have to make sure you hold it firm for us.
I'll
Uh,
try my best.
indeed.
All right. So let's get into one of our first thoughts, which is overcoming personal challenges. So, with a theme like, will it kill you or will it skill you? You know, you have to first look at yourself. You have to look at what you've been through. You have to look at what you've overcome. And I would like for you guys to share just a little bit on your personal experiences that that looking back at it now, in the moment you weren't sure that you were going to make it through it. You know, there are
Mm.
always those things that you feel so deeply for in the moment, and you feel like it's so never ending, and it's just going and going. And sometimes the going is in childhood when it's going for a few days, it feels like forever.
Mm.
But there are those things that last years. There are those things that still linger on with you into adulthood. So
Yeah.
let's touch into the overcoming process.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
Prince of the Ball, I'm going to let you go first.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's so interesting that you asked that question because when I normally take the opportunity to reflect, which I think everyone should be enjoying, the opportunity to reflect on you and what you've gone through. I
Mhm.
took maybe about 2 weeks ago an opportunity to reflect on how did I get to this point. And some people might hear me say it, people closest to me might hear me say that 2021 was honestly the most difficult year of my life. It was treacherous, it wasn't easy. I personally felt as if I had lost control of my own life. And I was normally able to put things in a place that allowed me to be able to lead the orchestra of my future. It wasn't that case that year. Though I had so many personal challenges, along with the depression, along with the anxiety, along with the worry and the pain and the trauma of it all. And I honestly did not, as you noted, Anastasia, I honestly did not think it would have been possible for me to make it through. But some of the things I implored there was I had to recognize that I don't have to have it all together all the time. It's not necessary.
That's right.
You know, Green Arrow and Batman have this conversation together, and I like to use this because at this point now, the Justice League is almost about to disband, and Superman and the seven founders of the Justice League are about to demit office, and Green Arrow speaks up and says, "No, you're the heroes, but we're the heroes who protect the heroes." And I always favored that. I always realized that, you know what, even though I like to be that person who's the cornerstone for so many, even I need a hero.
Yeah.
Even I need a guardian. Even
Mhm.
I need an opportunity to refurbish and rethink and rejuvenate myself. I had to take it and I had not been taking it. And so I
Mhm.
had to take a moment to just recognize internally, mentally, personally that yes, this is one of those moments and I need to take it. After taking it, I took the opportunity to return and reflect again. So now I'm wondering, okay, what's happened? What's going on with me? Why do I think that's going on? Do I need the help of someone to help me make sense of it? Or am I able to just personally meditate and I take that opportunity to then have a talking moment. You need to get this out to somebody, right? For me, it was the Holy Spirit. That was me taking the time to really kneel and pray and empty all of this to Him. And then I took it to people who are very, very, very close to me, like my best friends, one or two of my family members. I was able to share this, right? So I was able to get this through in prayer, follow it through in just that moment of being having a vulnerable heart to heart with those close to me. And that actually started my recovery process, my ability to overcome my personal challenge. But it, as you can tell, it always starts at an opportunity of recognition. Follow that opportunity of recognition with a moment of meditation and reflection, and then you have to get it out. Allow yourself a safe space, whether that's a prayer, whether that's talking to someone else, whether that's in therapy. Allow that moment to really get this out to someone who can hear you and take those steps of filling you again. Hope that helps.
It does. It
Mhm.
absolutely does. Now, Madame, I'm gonna
Yes.
I'm gonna let you go ahead. I'm gonna let you go ahead before I chime in because I could see you boiling. I could see you ready. So you can go ahead and you can give your input and give that little tap on overcoming personal challenges first.
I just love everything Toastmaster Williams said. I gleaned so much. I think one of the key things that he said, and I absolutely have to echo it, is when you find yourself going through a personal challenge, it doesn't matter what type, you have to sit down and analyze it. You have to, you know what we do in Toastmasters? We evaluate. We love
Mm,
to evaluate, right? As a person, as monitoring or managing a personal challenge, the first thing you need to do is analyze. You have to ask yourself the questions. What is this I'm going through? Why am I going through this? What am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? How do I get better? And I like that Toastmaster Williams, he just pointed that out and crystallized that because I feel like a lot of persons, they are in denial for whatever reason. You know, a lot of us who are strong, we try to pretend that, okay, I don't need anyone. I'm independent. And whatever this is I'm going through, I can handle this on my own. But I'm really learning something about and the value of interdependence. You can be independent, but you cannot do everything by yourself. And you cannot do it all alone. You need help. And you see, Toastmaster Williams, he said, for him, he first spoke to the Holy Spirit. That's still someone. That's someone. He confided in someone. Okay, your person may be someone else. But the first step to me is admittance of what it is that I'm going through. I went through a lot of dark times in my life, a lot from childhood to now. And of course, notably, people will reflect on the biggest challenge that I've experienced publicly, which was in 2014 when I lost my sister, my twin sister, and her entire family at the age of 33. That was a challenge and a point where it could have killed me,
Mm.
but I believe that God used those moments to skill me. And to skill me in what? Skill you in what, Renelle? In knowing how to navigate through a storm. How do you get through it? Because there's no other way to get out of a storm than to go through. And if it's a storm or something that God has allowed to put into your path, I'm not saying all storms are God ordained. There are some things that God allows to happen to you or in your life. And the only way to make it out of the storm, you can't fly over, you cannot jump over, but you absolutely have to ride through the storm. And the question is, how do we do it? How do we ride through? For me, like Toastmaster Williams, I relied on the grace and the favor and the mercies of God. I relied on people who I knew supported me and loved me. Let me tell you, when I say love is a healer, it is a healing mechanism and weapon out of this world. Love will heal you. It will heal the wounds and it will heal you. I love to say, love heals me to wholeness. It makes me whole. And it's not just the love of God, but it's the love through people He put in your path. So when you are going through challenges, sometimes you also need to ask yourself, who is around me that can help me? Who is in my circle? You can be going through a dark time and you have the wrong people around you and you will not make it through as fast or as proper as you should be. But if you have the right people, if you have the right set of people around you, people who can hold you accountable to healing, hold you accountable to confiding and confessing your feelings, you have to be willing to talk to someone, people who could draw that out and say, you know what, I'm here for you. Even if you don't want to talk today, know that I'm in your corner. I'm here for you. And then the third thing is, after you have that support and you have that love helping to groom you and get you out of the darkness, you have to take a step. You have to take one step forward, one step. And sometimes it hurts. I can tell you, to take a step forward in 2014, 2015 was very difficult for me. But by the grace of God, I was able to take one step forward and then another step and another step. And one of my favorite artists is Stephen Curtis Chapman. He's a gospel, he's a Christian pop rock. I don't know, rock. Anyway, Christian rock. I loved him from a long time. Love his music. He has this song that talks about taking another step and another step and another step. Trust God and take another step. So you can look it up online. It blesses me each time. Sometimes you don't know if you have the strength to just take one more step. Today you don't feel like getting out of bed. You want to stay in bed and just sleep off the depression until you realize that depression isn't going anywhere if you don't get out the bed. So one day you got to roll back the covers and say, let me at least throw my feet out to hang out the bed. That's a step. The other day you may just step out the bed. And you keep going until you find that you are healing, you are growing, you are getting through the challenge. And that is really overcoming, getting through and going forward, day by day, step by step, moment by moment. But you cannot do it alone. Know who to talk to and begin to open up yourself and be vulnerable. Allow yourself to trust someone, to trust the right people, and surround yourself with a strong support system, and you'll get to the light at the end of the tunnel.
Listen to me. I know that y'all can tell that we are in for it. It's only been only one. We've only touched one thing. And we have been blessed with so much info, with so much to download and to take in. You need to share this with someone. You need to make sure that somebody gets this message. You need to make sure that it touches and reaches those persons in your community, in your sphere. You want to make sure that the persons around you don't miss out on this message, because I can tell you, I have just recently been able to begin to talk about a situation that I had to overcome. Now, it has not been public. It has not been well known about me or anything like that. But it was something that was so painful to me and so against my character and against my own personal belief system that I had it was buried for a few years. I couldn't cope with it. And believe it or not, it was a relationship.
Right.
Believe it or not, it was someone that was protesting love. It was someone that was protesting to care for me. It was someone protesting to have my best interest at heart, but someone that also wanted to crush my spirit, that also wanted me to lessen myself and shrink my fire to make sure that it didn't outshine theirs. It was also someone that, after we broke up, did everything that they could in their entire being to try and discredit and defame and kill the person that I am and the person that I was becoming at that time. And if I had allowed it, if I didn't have my best friend slash sister to talk to and try to, make sure pull me out and shake me off, take a little bit of dust off my head, would try to kick on and everything like that. If I didn't have her to do that, if I didn't have the raising of my parents to know that, this isn't you.
Yeah.
This isn't what we want for you. This isn't what we want from you. This is not what you're meant to be, And it's things like that. And I love how both of you spoke about having someone to go to and having someone to turn to and the power of love. And what I would like to add to it is recognizing healthy love.
Yes.
Because there will be those people who tell you, I love you. Oh, I only play it, girl. I love you.
Right, right.
But it's not real love. It's absolutely not. And it took me a long while to even be able to mention the situation. And of course, it's still not a full disclosure type of thing. It's taking steps, And it's, P.S. said, no, we're going to use first names. We're gonna, as Renelle said, being able to take those steps and always remember to go a little bit further and go a little bit further and go a little bit further is very important, because I'm sure that in looking at me, in listening to me, you would not think that I would allow anybody to put me through any of that type of, excuse me, no, it's not a part of my character. It's not a part of my belief system. But I have to be willing to say that, you know what, things like that do happen to people that we don't expect it to happen to.
Yeah.
And then we get through it. We move on. We overcome. We find our way back to where we need to be. Now, our next thing that I wanted for us to get into was just to touch on the 2 shootings that happened in the U.S. in this past few days. Yeah. So we're talking about having someone to be able to talk to and knowing, when you need help and, the person's choosing the persons around you that you're going to go to when you need help and not allowing things to kill you and keep you down. But we have lost over 30 lives off of this planet due to 2 persons that at this point we do not know. The manifesto hasn't come out and, we don't have the full disclosure as to why.
Yeah.
If we ever find out why.
Right.
And I know that it's something that will plague the persons that were directly touched by the situation for
Mhm.
a very long time because it's senseless. When someone says that it's a senseless killing, it's a senseless shooting,
Yeah.
it's just there's
Mhm.
absolutely no reasoning. There's no justifications. There's nothing that can be said or done to pacify it or make it feel any better because it's just nothing. And so the persons that are directly affected by it, we can only imagine
Mhm.
the mental torment that
Yeah.
these situations have created because the ripple effect has been great.
Yeah.
Since then, I've seen, especially the one in Texas with the children, since then, I've seen protests, I've seen government officials going back and forth. I've seen, well, of course, Facebook is always lit.
Mhm. Mhm.
But in us speaking about allowing things to either kill you or skill you, it seems that these two individuals have allowed whatever the thought process may have been, or the feeling attached in that moment may have been. They allowed it to kill them
Yeah.
instead of using it to build themselves up, instead of using it to make themselves stronger, instead of saying, we have those children who grew up with an alcoholic father, and they say,
Mhm.
I'm absolutely not going to be him.
Right.
They do that complete 180 and they go in the other direction. But this was not the choice for these two young men. So,
Mhm.
what have you guys heard about it? What has been your thought process and your movements and motions since then? We're going to go with our madam first.
It's so traumatic. Honestly, my when I learned of the Texas one in particular, I had to go and read it. I heard about the New York one much later. And the Texas one, when I read on the Texas shooting, my heart went out. It went out to those to the children, it went out to the parents, all the guardians, to the teachers. It's like what you said earlier, Anastasia, there's no words. I think about if I was to meet one of the parents, what would I say? That's what I thought. What would I say? The only thing I would tell them is I would give them my huge hugs, condolences, and everything. But I would say, this is one of those scenarios you may never have the answer for. The truth is, you'll probably never get the answer for. But you can rest in the love that you shared with your child. You can rest in the memory, the wonderful memories that that child has brought to your life, and continue to live out the legacy of that child. To tell you the truth, they're gonna be healing, they're gonna be hurting and healing for a long time. And I really believe like that's a reality because it's a very traumatic event and it's so tragic. And coupled with the trauma of it, is the fact that it's children. And there's just something when it happens to children, there's another degree and other dimension of just hurt and pain. Okay. And I can speak that even based on what I told you earlier about losing my sister and her family. Of course, we were so saddened by losing my sister and her family. When people ask me, okay, what happened to their son? And they find out that their son was also on the plane and he was only 5, then their hearts, are pricked way more. And so my heart really goes out to the parents. I really want to tell them how much of a healer God is. I want to say that this is going to take some time to lean into your feelings, to be very honest with yourself, be honest with how you feel. It is perfectly okay to feel angry, perfectly okay to question why, and to want revenge. I feel like these are all natural feelings that come to your mind. But rest in the peace of knowing that those little innocent souls will forever remain in your heart. And let the memories of them and all of the warmness that they brought to your life. Let it continue to help you with the healing process. Cry, take as much time as you need, talk to people again. Therapy plays such a huge part in the healing process. People think that, okay, going to therapy shows your weakness. To me, it actually shows your strength. You're admitting that you cannot do this alone and you need someone else, you need a professional to help you. And when events such as this happen, I would highly recommend that person seek professionals in the area of counseling, okay, and rely on them to help guide you through. Of course, God is always there. He's always there, because there are times when you're crying and a therapist is not there. God is always there, and he will hear you, and I believe he will heal you. It will take time, but take all of the time that you need. And that's really my thoughts on that. Okay.
And go ahead, sir.
Sure. Renell really captured a lot there as an educator,
Mm-hmm.
someone who also knows what it means to lose someone close to you.
Mhm.
There are just no words to describe the feelings.
Mhm.
There are no words. What do you say?
Yeah.
What do you say?
Yeah.
The amount of feelings I felt from those situations.
Yeah.
The video regarding what the shooter did in New York
Mhm.
was the most stunning for me.
Yeah.
He went live,
Jesus. Mm.
and it was clear that this was sport for him.
Yeah.
He's going through,
Yeah.
and I'm seeing human. Never thought I'd see that in my life.
My Lord.
Like actually playing or taking game on humans, and I saw human beings in a store fall. And he isn't doing just a one shot. He'll come closer and perform another two to make sure you out. It's regular human beings.
Mhm.
But what do you say? I
Mhm.
I I honestly rested and sat on that question for a while, even before I conceived the idea of conversing about this topic with you beautiful ladies tonight.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's it's unfathomable. It's
Mhm.
wrong.
Yeah.
It shouldn't happen. Those little kids. I mean,
Mhm.
goodness, what did they do?
I don't know.
Probably that morning, thinking about the lunch they would have later on that day with their friends,
Yes.
or wondering if, or thinking, I can't wait to get to summer when I don't have to go to school anymore. Those are the thoughts I expect on those little ones in their little ones' minds, and
Yeah.
and and someone just felt the need to plug that. So there are
Mhm.
no words. The amount of emotions
Yeah.
or synonyms to describe the emotions to go through are uncountable, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But I can only use what I know from experience,
Yeah.
and that is to put all that energy into the positive.
Yes.
When I lost my aunt, maybe about 2016, she was the rock in my family. And I
Mhm.
felt like we lost her in a very unfair way. The healthiest woman possible.
Mhm.
Didn't meet meat. She was very healthy. She lives healthy. She
Mhm.
performed a very healthy and successful life. And mystically, one day in her 60s, never once diagnosed with a thing in her life, she fell ill by means that the doctors could not understand.
Oh.
And bit by bit, she deteriorated. And I wasn't even there to get to see her before she gave her last breath. All the prayers, nothing happened, and of course we lost her. And that was hard. That was very, very hard. But my family took the time to focus on the positive.
Yes.
Instead of saying, God, why did you take her? Why
Yes.
was that allowed? How dare you?
Yeah.
Focusing on anger and frustration and sorrow and guilt, or maybe saying things like, I didn't get a chance to say this to her. Or maybe if I'd done this, things would have happened differently. Instead of asking those questions or directing them against people and against God, and flaming these flames of negativity and discord and dissent. Instead of
Yes.
that, we
Yeah.
decided to focus on the positive and say, my aunt was an incredible woman.
Yes.
She was someone on her own, without education, took her home and changed it into a preschool and invested brilliantly into the lives of my family's youth and
Wow.
so many others. She touched so many lives. Like,
Yeah.
what my aunt did was phenomenal. I
Mm.
remember in high school, this was grade seven, grade eight, and my English literature teacher, who was such a wonderful person, she's a Toastmaster to this day. She's a wonderful individual. And I love the spirit, I love the heart. And she had kids who attended that school with us, one of whom was maybe in grade two, a little boy. And we came to school one Monday morning with the knowledge that he had lost his life by drowning in a pool over the weekend. And that crushed us because this same little boy we spent time with every day. Every day he'd come upstairs after school with his mom while she's marking papers in the classroom. And he was so rambunctious, so full of life, so genuine, so caring, but it was hard to stay focused on for her because she was marking papers. And so we'd be there to just walk around with him, teach him things about the school, show him around, help him do his homework. We knew her son.
Mhm.
And to come a Monday morning and not see him there anymore hurt.
Mhm.
And we mourned with her, but
Yeah.
our mourning was, I don't think we noticed it, but subconsciously we just automatically began to say, you had such a wonderful son. He
Right.
was so bright and shining, and we loved whenever he was around. And sometimes he would run after us, and then this time he would play with my friends who were girls, and he'd say those were his girlfriends. Uh, we took the time to focus on those brilliant positives about him,
Yes.
right? Even at that funeral, or at both of the funerals, I took the opportunity to cry, and my tears, I realized, weren't tears of anger. Those were tears of, I miss you, I love you, and continue to frolic in the heavenlies with the King.
Yeah.
Those were tears for my aunt that said, you invested so much into me, and I can't thank you enough. And
Mhm.
even though you're not here for me to say that to you, I know for a fact that you really receive it.
Yeah.
Those were tears for that little one of my English literature teachers saying that it's okay, you don't have to worry, you don't have to stress about this anymore.
Mhm.
Just enjoy the heavenly gates
Yeah.
and keep it nice and warm for me until I get there, God's grace. You understand? We
Mhm.
were able to put those feelings of hurt and mourning and pain and translate them into,
Mhm.
what did God really bless us with? Yeah, you're not here anymore, but you know, that's literally the only thing I can say. If
Yeah.
you lost someone in those shootings, if you lost someone at all, if
Yeah.
you're going through a heartbreak, do not focus on God why. Do not focus on bring them back. Do not focus on I could have done this differently. Do not regret or walk through pain
Mhm.
or walk through that agony. That's not for you to walk through. You hear me?
That's right.
That's not for you to be burdened down by. That's not for you to open that door. Those are not questions for you to answer.
That's
Leave them to God. Those aren't for you. Those
indeed.
aren't for you. Walk with a level of intentionality in your life
Mhm.
where you can say unashamedly that
Yeah.
you have done those around you well. But
Yeah.
do not walk in life with the burden that I could have done more,
Mm.
or why did you take them from me? I wasn't ready yet. Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Those are questions for God.
That's right.
Focus on the positive. God, while I had this incredible person, they touched me so much.
Yes.
Even on the times when they ran me ragged,
Yeah.
even at the times when I played pranks on them and I made them mad, or
Yes.
even in the moments when I didn't listen, they were still there for me. They
Yeah.
still invested in me. They still held my hand. I was still there for them. I was able to bless them when they needed me the most. On those birthdays or those holidays, I was there to celebrate it with them. And I have so much incredible memories with them that I will cherish. I will continue.
Yes.
I'm here. I will continue to walk on in the truth that you blessed me. I will honor you
Yes.
by continuing to walk in
Yeah.
purpose and fulfillment and
That's
being a
right.
better person in this world. I
Yes.
will honor you and I
Mm-hmm.
will honor God in that.
Yeah.
I put those emotions into the positive. And so
Mm-hmm.
when I mourn, I am mourning and I'm thanking God that I
Mm-hmm.
got a chance to be with
Yes.
you. I'm not worrying about what could have been, should have been, would have been. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just thankful for who you are, who
Yeah.
you were to me, and
Yeah.
that God allowed me to have that opportunity with you. That keeps us away from baggage, that keeps us away from years of pain and suffering, that
Yes.
keeps us away from walking into our true, from that excellence that we want.
Yes.
When we allow those negative feelings to fester, when we lose somebody, we
Mm-hmm.
kill ourselves. That's when we kill ourselves because we're trying to answer questions that we were never meant to answer.
That's right.
Instead, put those feelings into the positive and
Yeah.
watch yourself heal. As
Yes.
Renelle mentioned, watch yourself heal in love because
Mm-hmm.
you're taking the time to focus on the wonderful things.
Yeah.
I can't forget that I can't even remember the details of it, but I will never forget that particular trial when a gentleman had killed this father's daughter. I believe they were in a relationship. And in the courtroom, as he's being tried, he's about to be sentenced. The father stands up and says, "Can I say something?" And the magistrate or the judge says, "Sure." And he looks at his daughter's killer and he said,
Mm.
"I wish my baby girl was here, but I can't bring her back." He says a few other things, and then this line catches me so well. He says, "I forgive you.
Mm.
My baby girl was an excellent person, and she blessed me and so many others in this life. So she may not be here, but
Yeah.
in recognition of who she was as a forgiving person and the God I serve as a forgiving God, I forgive you." And
Wow.
in that courtroom, that father and that killer shared a hug.
Jeez.
Everybody in the room caught it. I let one or two tears go. It was a video that I was watching right there on YouTube. And
Mm.
he was able, of course, he still got his sentence. That didn't change.
Yeah.
But even in that sentence, that those words from that father
Yeah.
was a changing moment in that killer's heart to say,
Yes.
this is now an opportunity for me to really consider what I did and grow from it.
Yeah.
When we choose to focus on the positive and put those energies into the positive, we not only better ourselves and allow us the opportunity to love and heal, but
Mm-hmm.
we send out rippling effects of love
Yes.
and joy and forgiveness and hope and faith to so many others.
Yes.
Many people might not be able to handle it, but God knows, Raynell and Anastasia, I wish I had the opportunity to hear one of those individuals who had lost someone in those shootings
My God.
to just make sure and pray that they had the opportunity or they're using this opportunity to talk about how wonderful that person was in their life
Yes.
and not on why did God take them. And if
Yes.
they're saying those things, I just want them to share it out, cry it out, talk
Yeah.
it out, belt it
Mm-hmm.
out,
Mm-hmm.
shout it out how great that human being was and how
That's
thankful
right.
you are that God blessed you with that person in your life. And
Yeah.
if they're not talking about it, I want them to get all that anger out, talk it out so I can
Mm-hmm.
tell them, okay, let's focus on the positive things.
Yeah.
Tell
Yeah.
me about this person. Tell me about that person. And
Right.
just get them into the
Yes.
mindset of
Yes.
being thankful that I had you for this time
Mm-hmm.
and how I can honor you by moving on and
Yeah.
letting my light shine a light that pleases God in you.
Indeed.
Listen to me. I don't know about you, Renelle, but I'm sitting here watching the pastor come through and still
That's
tonight.
right. I was getting ready to
And then
say
watching
amen.
the pastor and the preacher come
Can't
through.
help it. I'm sorry.
And a natural chat.
Yes. I was like,
Just receive it. Just receive it. That's it. That's it.
go
Just
past
receive
me, go
it.
past me.
Go ahead. But listen to me. I would like to
Yes.
take a second and thank
Mhm.
our sister Renelle,
Mm.
Kia Forbes.
Oh, yes.
Listen to me.
Uh-huh.
Y'all have me sharing tonight. I lost someone very close to me a few weeks ago.
Mhm.
And
Our love and condolences.
listening to it, I still talk about the memories that you have with them and the things that you must hold on to and
Yeah.
how you have to use those things to help you to get past.
Yes.
I don't know if you'll remember, Renelle, but whenever I was coming into a Toastmasters meeting and I had a role or speaking or anything like that, I
Yeah.
always had this gentleman along with me.
Yeah.
Listen to me. Troy Michael Capron was my friend. He was my supporter. And I know that he was a lot to other people, but
Mhm.
I could definitely hold on to what he was for me.
Right.
I had a women's event online during COVID. He was the only male in the room.
Wow.
When, like I said, whenever it is I'm having a role or whatever to do for Toastmasters in person or
Mhm.
online, he was in the room. To the
Wow.
point where they were starting to call him the unofficial member of our, of our because that's how much he popped in to make sure that he supported that everything that I do, anything that I was doing, he was my friend,
Right.
and it was a big loss. It was
Mhm.
painful. It really hurt, and I went. TTM Albury asked me to be a functionary for one of our meetings. And so then some time had passed. I
Right.
was,
Right.
why? That'd be cool. This
Mm.
is gonna be fine. Went into that meeting, and Nakia, as the first speaker, is going to talk about 6 steps to getting over grief. I was like, oh my goodness.
Ooh.
Wow.
She come to burst me open.
Wow.
I come here for this. I came here to try and get a sense of normalcy. I already stuck a couple of meetings. I tried to get back into the flow of things. And this is the first thing handed to me.
Wow.
So, of course, the functionary role got thrown out of the window. But
Yes.
needless to say, that got tossed somewhere in the back of the room. I don't know. I couldn't find it anymore. And I had to message her afterward. I stayed through her presentation and I had to message her afterward. I won't tell you what tone of voice I had because I'm not even sure how many words she really understood through the tears. But I had to let her know how much it helped
Mhm.
for her to give her presentation and for me to hear it because I was, listen, when I tell you I needed that cry, it
Yes.
was one of
It is.
those rock and hold yourself type of things. I
Yes.
didn't actually need to get it out. I needed
Yes.
to get it out.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we don't understand what we are to people.
Yes.
Mm. Tell me
And
about
so
it.
right now we're talking about, both of you are speaking on, how we look at this situation, these two situations, and we're thinking about the effects that it will have on the person surrounding it. And, we can try to hold on to the memories that the kids are leaving behind, that
Mhm. Mhm.
the adults are leaving behind. Because the grocery store shooting that was in Buffalo
Mm.
were majority adults. There were, I believe, there were two children that were caught in that, but they were majority adults. And they left the house to go for a carton of eggs.
My Lord.
You know, you went Because you know that your kids are gonna wake up soon and you out of milk, and before you hear them start making noise, you're gonna go to hurry up and dash to the store and get that. You're gonna get some gummy worms along the way so you can hush them up. And that was it.
My Lord.
But when I looked into the situation a little bit more, because Miss Deborah and I just spoke about this on Saturday, and it turns out that he stalked the place. He
Mm.
200 miles to get there.
Whoa.
Someplace around the corner.
Yeah.
He drove 200 miles to get there. He went there, I believe it was the Friday before, posing as a beggar. So he scoped this place out.
Wow.
He did. And I thought to myself, I'm like, while I do not know
Mhm.
living in the US, living in the US, I know how we are here.
Mhm.
And we not typically are people to just walk past somebody. You know, we have some homeless people who live in better than people who work in and have jobs because,
Period.
Ernesto, I see that face. I see it. They are collecting so much from so
Mhm.
many individual persons because let's think about it. 30 people pass you, each of them give you $1, that's $30.
Yep.
In 5 days, that's how much? 7 days, that's how much? That's a job. Some people making that on their job. And on top of that, to add insult to injury, they don't have to pay NIB. They ain't
Mhm.
got no taxes or anything coming out of their stuff. All whatever they collect is theirs.
Right.
And so he's sitting in front of this place and he's gathering intel and he's making sure that there are predominantly Black persons coming into this place, and he's making sure that, the
Mhm.
security is one of those relaxed type of people that would allow him to be there, and what the routines of the place are and everything like that. And my thing and my thinking is that there would be someone who saw him in that
Mhm.
pretend homeless state
Mm.
and gave him a word
Mhm.
and tried to speak something into him and tried to encourage him and tried to be that light. And he was so hard pressed on what it is that he intended to do that he let it go.
My Lord.
He absolutely let it go. I'm sure there was at least one person that said to him, you know what? As they gave him little $2, $3, maybe even more, depending on how the pocket feels. They said to him, you know what? Better days are coming. You're gonna get past whatever it is you're dealing with now. They have directed him to a shelter or some sort of resource for help or something like that. You know,
Mhm.
it puzzles me that when he tries so hard sometimes to be that light and to be that effect on other people,
Mhm.
you still see them on the same road, and you still see them in the same path and repeating the same cycles and things like that. But then we have the situations like what we were talking about where unintentionally, just through living life and being free and vicarious, these persons are able to make such an impact on you
Mhm.
just by being who they are. And so, it should not encourage us, discourage us from being intentional about reaching out to people and being intentional about making sure that we say things to them and, we point their positives and try to help them through their negatives. But also, we got to remember to just live a life that
Mhm.
creates a positive impact, that becomes
Yes.
a ripple effect to everyone else that is around us.
Yes.
So that when we are gone and we have passed on, the people that are around us have those memories to hold on to
Mhm.
unintentionally. Don't
Yes.
make the intentional movements and We live effective over here. We making sure our steps are ordered, and we are making sure that they are strong and secure, and that they are in the direction that we want for ourselves to go. But don't forget those unintentional things. That person that's watching you from across the room,
Mhm.
having
Mm,
who will not say anything to you. You won't know they exist,
yeah,
but they're watching you,
yeah.
and
Mhm.
like that's coming from you. And
Yeah.
they may not be the one to show up at your funeral, but they'll look at the picture in our Thursday paper and they're going to say, you know what, I remember when.
Mhm.
And it's unfortunate that we have this situation, whereas, like, I have this in front of me now where the person that ended the shooting at the Uvalde South Texas School, Robb Elementary, was not a police officer, was not one of those that were on emergency call or emergency response, who are supposed to be the ones who are, um, you know, de-escalating situations and handling things. This was a husband and father. He
Wow.
Mm,
had children, but a husband and a father who took his barber's gun. No, listen good. He took his barber's gun after his wife, who was a teacher at the school, and his child attended the school. She called him and told him that there's a shooter in the building. He left the barber shop with the barber's gun,
mhm.
came down there and handled business.
Yeah,
Went
yeah,
straight past the 19 police officers that were
yeah,
already on the scene
yeah.
and
Wow.
who were responding. Went in the building, got his wife and his child out, and then went back into the building to take and took his life. Now, doesn't he sound like a behavior, Leon?
Wow.
You'll tell me he don't sound like a behavior. Because in our scenarios, when we're talking about the story, that's how we're going to present this. Man, if I was there, if that was me, I was going to, But his plan was intentional. His steps were intentional, and he intended to rescue his family. And after doing what it is he set out to do, he not only rescued his family, but saved the lives of untold amount of kids and adults that would have still been being affected by this young man if he hadn't taken
My Lord. It's a
intentional,
hero.
the
Hero.
hero
Mhm. Hero.
intentionality.
Wow.
So his story not only gives to, you know, I had a plan, I had a thought in my head, I decided to execute it, and it was up. But also, now the story is told on the emotion on it, you know,
Mhm.
that adrenaline rush of being a father and being a husband, and the possibility of losing your loved ones, which in turn would be losing your life,
Right.
the people that you wake up for. He couldn't do it. There was another husband in the same shooting, and he died a few days ago of
Mhm.
a heart attack, leaving behind 4 kids. He just when it's a heart attack, you experience stress and strain over pain in your body and stuff like that. So apparently they were high school sweethearts.
Mhm.
They had 4 kids, and I guess he just couldn't take it, and he's no longer with us. And so we can look at both of those shooters and see what it is that they've done and how they've affected the persons around them. But what I want us to look at now would be tips. Because we could talk. We
Mhm.
1, 2, 3, between the three of us, we could
Mhm.
go. But we're looking at tips that we can give or
Mhm.
can be said to our listening audience in regards to raising resilient kids? Now, I would like for our madam to take it from the point of view of a parent, and for our mister to take it from the point of view of a teacher. Because, these, these situations, they're reaching straight around.
Yes.
It's somebody's mama, it's somebody's daddy, the effect is far reaching. And so I
Mm-hmm.
would I would give Ernesto the floor first.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna keep playing ping pong. But from the perspective of a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
what tips would you give to someone on raising resilient kids, helping kids to overcome things? It doesn't have to be so big, but little things are huge to them. What we would consider little, maybe because I deal with preschoolers uh, and teenagers. Oh, Lord, everything is so huge. Everything is such a big deal, which they don't realize how small it is when they reach adulthood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from that teacher perspective, let's see how we can
Mm-hmm.
encourage them and how we can build some resilient kids.
I think that we sometimes sleep on our kids. Our kids are smart. These kids are brilliant. When I was a kid, I just wanted to run up and down my yard. They're kids and they've mastered technological skills far beyond what I thought I could have ever done.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They are able to consider and retain a grander level of knowledge and truth. They're able to ask sound philosophical questions that we sometimes don't even think of asking in dire
Mm-hmm.
situations. Our kids are smart. 21st century youth are brilliant. They're geniuses. These are the hope of our future. I will always say that the hope of our future is in great hands because these kids are incredible. They're incredible. I've had the joy of teaching so many. I've had the joy of conversing with so many. I've had the joy of mentoring so many. These youth, I haven't met a single one who has fallen below the standard line of excellence. They're there. They got it. They have great potential. They have great skill. They have great capacity. These kids are creme de la creme. And it seems like every generation produces an even greater batch of incredible thinkers, individuals with heart and passion. And so that now puts an onus on us as leaders, as role models in society, as parents, aunts and uncles, grandfathers and grandmothers. That puts now the onus on us. How do we raise resilient kids when our kids are so much more brilliant than we were when we were at their age? How do you do that? And that's where we take the approach of the teacher, right? A teacher is always going to be placed in a room of greater thinking minds. They can do more, right? We will always be placed in front of that. Are we approaching it in a means of talking down to or speaking against or limiting you? No. What we're doing when teachers get into that room, we see capacity, we see the potential, we see what's inside of you. Our job is to simply draw it out. I know that you are an incredible doctor, or you have purpose in your hands, purpose in your voice, purpose in your body movement. There's purpose in everything. We see it. Teachers have that innate ability to just see it. You know, we could see the greatness just dripping off of you. And in that, we all we're tasked with is how to pull it out. And we pull it out the same way that we approach our lessons. We approach that with modeling, and we approach that with practice, right? Education, modeling, and practice are unique elements, right? We take these steps with every lesson. A lot of you parents a lot of individuals who are youth officers, you take this approach, right? And I hope that many who have not considered this, that you consider this now. Because your child is so bright, right? Because you believe in your child and you know the excellence in your child. Take the time to talk with your child. Talk to them about everything. There is nothing that they cannot understand at this point in time. If they could master the computer at 5, friend, they they have the capacity. Personally, this is my opinion. I don't think there's anything that you could withhold from your child. And if you do, you risk having someone else or something else be the teacher. And it's not going to be in an approach, normally, it's not going to be in an approach that is recommended for your child. Take the opportunity to have those tough conversations. Engage your child in them. They see it on TV every day. They see it wherever they go. They're gonna ask the questions. Don't give them no stork story. Don't give them no tooth fairy story. Talk to your child about these things. They have the capacity to understand them. Don't think of your child as just an itty bitty toddler. Think of your child as a budding genius. They are smart and bright. Talk to them about it. And when you talk to them about it, go through the processes with them. For example, if you've had the opportunity to speak to your child about what it means to lose someone, right? You take the time to educate them. Hey, you know, everyone's not here forever. There are people in your life that you like. There are people in your life that you love. There are people in your life that you can't see without. Those people won't always be there. So, what do you do when they're no longer there? Have that talk with your child so that when the time does come and you realize, oh, we lost someone close to us, your child is now able to remember what you spoke to them about and put it into practice. By modeling, walk it through with them. Go do it. Go do it with them. Hey, how you feeling? I know we just lost so and so. What's up? Let's have some mental checkups every morning. I just want to find out how you're doing, how you're feeling. You know, did you dream about them? Maybe you were thinking about them. Maybe you were talking to your friends about them. Maybe there was a moment while you were playing when you just paused and talk to me. Talk to me. Let's put what we were, when we were previously discussing losing someone, let's put that into focus now. Let's try it out now. Can you think about the good times that you had with them? Aren't you thankful you had them? Can we try directing our energy into the positive like we spoke of? Right? Model it. Go through it with your child. So take the time to educate your kids, talk to them, model because of that education that you fostered into them, you can now walk through it with them when it does happen, or if it does happen, you can walk through it with them, right? And then of course, you take the opportunity to just let your child, please let them speak about it, let them share about it, let them walk through it, allow that level of independent thought. Can I talk about it later on? Maybe if they can't talk about it now, give them that space, let them breathe, support them still. Like this is what we do as teachers. When I stand up in the front of a board and I teach parts of speech, right? As an English teacher, English educator, or I also teach public speaking. So if I go ahead and if I teach the speech communication process to my students, I give them the knowledge, and then we need to model it. And then I want to see you put it into practice. And then take the time to talk to me about it afterwards. Assess it for yourself. I want that from my students. So I go ahead and I give them the instruction, or we find different modes, whether we're going through it in a video, we're practicing it in an activity, or maybe an amalgamation of different mediums by which to embrace the knowledge, right? To engage it. We go through that together, and then the time comes for us to model it. Let's try a practice, right? What would happen if something, or this is the line here. what part of speech do we need? Do we need something that names something? Do we need something that tells us what to do? Or do we need something that directs us? Maybe something that joins phrases together. What do you think we need here? And then we can now start modeling and putting it into practice so they get to see it, right? And then I go ahead and I allow you to practice it on your own. I would send them a homework worksheet, or I'd send an electronic quizzes or a Kahoot. Try it out. Let's see what you understand. Are you putting this into practice? Right. And then, of course, when it happens, when you're on your own, when you're hitting those exams, yep. When those are in the front of you, you're remembering this. You're putting it into practice again. And we have the time to talk about it afterwards. Hey, how was the exam? Oh, I was good, but I chickened out on the last one, or I forgot that last rule we were talking about on part of speech, or I did it. I remembered everything. It worked. Hey, I got them right, Mr. Williams. I feel so good about my scores. Have that time to assess it afterwards. Take those same steps. Walk them through with your child in real life situations. In real life, have those conversations. Educate your child, talk to your child, discuss about things with your child. And as you begin to model it for them, they begin to see it in practice. They can go ahead and independently practice it for themselves and then talk about it after. Right. And I think that's going to be a big help in building resilient kids, because a lot of times the kids that don't know how to handle these situations are kids who never had the chance to talk about them, who never thought that they were a possibility, right? Who never. I'm going to throw one right out there very quickly, Anastasia, right now. Like, I feel as though we should have discussions with our kids about race. What does it mean to be racially profiled? For example, I'm just throwing one out there. We should have that discussion. My child should know that if they ever step on a plane without me or by themselves or with friends, or if they are ever put in a place, even just colorism, right? I know racism might not be too big in the Bahamas, but colorism is a constant here, right? And so I need to have that conversation with my child. I want that conversation. I want to model that so that if it happens to them, they can put what we talked about, what we modeled into practice, and we could talk about it afterwards. I will never forget that Family Matters. I don't know if y'all remember Family Matters with Steve Urkel and all those wonderful characters that I appreciated. And uh, the father's son just got his car. He was driving and he was pulled over by the police. The police were both two individuals of a different race and color than him. They pulled him over. They treated him a little rough, right? Impounded the car. He went home to his father, who is a police officer, and he's like, "Man, Dad, they didn't do me right." And his father wasn't listening. He said, "If they pulled you over, you did something wrong, and I told you what to do, and you didn't do it. You must have not been putting into practice what I told you when I told you about driving the car." So he was knowledgeable about one thing. He drove that car well, but he had no idea that there might be people out there who would disenfranchise you because of your race and or color. And so that father went, found the two police officers who pulled him over, talked to them, and realized, oh yeah, he didn't do anything wrong. This was a different story. He stood up for his son, went back to his son, and not only apologized for not understanding him earlier, but took the time to realize, I didn't speak to you about this before. I didn't educate you about this. I didn't model this. And then he took the time to talk to him about what does it mean to be a young black man. Take the time to talk to your kids, educate them, model it with them so they can put it into practice independently, and talk to them about it afterwards so they get to share and reflect and learn. We do it every day as teachers. That's how, when we send, Anastasia and Raynell could probably tell, when we send our students into BGCSE examinations, as scary as they might be, our students know that they have knowledge to grip. and they can put it into practice there, right? When they're sitting those SATs, they do them already in school, and school is that hub of creating global citizens. Take those same skilled steps, elements, factors, parents, anyone who is in a vision or a view of being someone who's an adult or someone that's a role model, and apply them with those who you work with, your youth, your young ones. Trust me, they have the capacity to not only understand, but follow through and carry it out.
At what age is the right time to discuss race or other taboo topics with children? That is a question that we've been asked.
It's a very good question too. Right now, you can pop in on this question as well, and let me know your thoughts, and then give us your response to raising resilient kids. I think that's to be determined by you as a parent. I think that's determinable by you personally. I think it's determined by you, right? I don't have biological kids of my own. I've adopted my own, I've raised my own, and I've mentored my own. So I know what it means to have a little one. I know what it means to see them walk across the stage. I know what it means to help them with all those little other moments in life. I know what that is. So I can say that personally for me, I saw that the moment that my child began to ask those pertinent questions, or they began to be inquisitive about the life around them, I did not hold back information. For my last one, that was about at the age of like 7. He was asking me pertinent questions like, Dad, why is this guy dressing like a woman? Right? Or even on the shooting, right? Those are you consider them as taboo topics. I see Anastasia taking a big breath, right? But you as a parent, you
Yeah.
as a parent in your child's life have to make that determination, because they had the inclination and the understanding to even pose that question to me, told me that it's not just curiosity. They have an understanding. They're beginning to conceive the world around them. If we think of the schools of thought, this is now the opportunity when the child is exploring more realms of thought. We are to cultivate that. Do not restrict that. I think when they start to show those signs, you should begin to harvest that conversation to reveal those things. So that's personally me, right? I'll pass it on to Ray now.
So now this has become a little bit of a two-parter, but we have to be mindful.
Right.
Um, so we're talking about tips for raising resilient kids. This is
Right.
from the parents' point of view, and also
Yeah.
a response to our question, which is how soon is too soon
Yeah.
to talk to your kids about
The right time. Yeah.
some stuff.
Let me share. Allow me to share a story, a personal story that happened about maybe 2 weeks ago. I picked up my daughter from school. My daughter is 14. And when I picked her up, she came in the car. She seemed dejected, right? Like something had happened. And I said, "What happened?" And she shook her head. She was like, she didn't want to talk about it. And I could see she was crying. And I don't know if anyone knows me. If I pick up my child from school and they look like they was crying, I
Turning,
am ready to jump on someone.
turning the car around.
Okay? No, I'm not leaving. I ain't turn. You didn't.
Oh, car ain't even start yet.
I didn't even move the car. I said, "What happened?" She said, "No." I said, "Tell me now." And I started to get, because I'm not leaving here until I know what happened. And I said, "Is the person still here?" She said, "No." I said, "Okay." And it's a good thing they wasn't, because I know how I can be sometimes when my children are concerned, because I know the type of children that I'm raising. I know the type of children my husband is raising. So anyway, she confessed to me a story. Someone, there was a group of them. They were in class, and there's a guy in the class who I've heard about before. but I've dismissed it because it didn't really affect her directly. The stories I've heard didn't really seem that dramatic. Like I need an intervention, I need to intervene. But anyway, this particular day when she came in the car crying, she shared that someone, um, this guy was making fun or irritating or taunting someone in the class. Right? She stood up for the person and spoke up on behalf of the person who was getting bullied. And because she did that, the young man turned around and started to bully her and made fun of her in front of the entire class, mocked her and things like that. And she got upset. So that's why she came in the car crying. I said, okay, that's no problem. I was so angry.
Mm.
Follow me. I said, okay, I'm going to find out who's his parents, who's the guardian. I tracked down, nobody had this number, nobody looked like they were willing. And one mind told me which teacher to go to. When I went to the teacher, I WhatsApp her and I said, I need the number for the parent of this boy. And she said, okay, hold on. I had to find out if I can give it to you. I said, okay. She said, what's it about? I sent her the voice note, what it's about. She forwarded to the person. She shared with me the number. She said the person said it was fine. I ended up speaking to the young man's legal guardian because he has a legal guardian. And so we ended up calling a meeting and we ended up sorting it out, so to speak, right? There's a lot of little moving parts in between. But in a nutshell, we sorted out.
Okay.
But my daughter watched all of that. She saw that. She saw that intervention. When she told me the story to a point, I wanted to tell her, don't ever take her for someone again. If it doesn't concern you, don't butt in, right? This is what I wanted to tell her. One mind and my one, how there's a devil and there's an angel on, the side. One side was saying, just tell her stay out of people's business. It ain't your business. The other side was saying, no, she's an advocate. She speaks up for those who don't speak up for themselves, right? I said, you know what? Don't ever be afraid to use your voice. Don't ever be afraid to speak up. I said, what he did, I highlighted, what he did was wrong. The way that he handled it was wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. He was wrong for the way he mocked you, the way he mocked that young lady. But what I like is the fact that she saw that we intervened in the situation and that we held him accountable and held his legal guardian accountable to the actions that he took that day. And in raising resilient children, what comes to mind is that, yes, like Ernesto said, we have some very technological, smart children. They are way more advanced than we were at that age because they've been exposed to more, right? So they've learned a lot more. But we also, I don't know if you've ever heard the adage, this generation is wiser but weaker. We're raising because of the exposure we grant them. We're raising intellectually and technically wiser children, but morally, spiritually, emotionally, relationally, we have to be careful as a nation, as a world, that we're not raising weak children, weak-minded children who don't know how to express their thoughts, who don't know how to stand up for one another, who don't respect each other. So in raising resilient children, it's so important that first you model the behavior that you want your child to model and to live out. You model respect, self-respect, and then respect of someone else. And in self-respect, you speak up for yourself. You don't be afraid of bullies. You don't pick fights, but you don't be afraid. You call them out. You hold them accountable. You show respect to yourself. You show respect to other people. You show love. We teach them morals. We teach them ethical standards, what's right from what's wrong. Should you have said that to this child? I try my best not to take up or defend my children when I know the full story and I know they're in the wrong. And I've done that on more than one occasion. Gone to the school and made my son apologize to whomever he offended. And at the same time, the parent made their child apologize.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is what we're missing in society globally. In the Bahamas, we have a very strong culture of, and I feel like we've lost some of it, but largely we still have a strong culture of a village raising a child and holding each other accountable. This is something that we have to maintain. We have to fight to maintain this because we're also cultured by different countries. Okay, we have allies and we're cultured by different countries, and we have to be very careful that we're not losing our native culture in raising our children. So when we talk about raising resilient children, we have to model the behavior that we want them to exhibit. We have to emphasize morals, having high standards for yourself, having respect, showing love, forgiveness, and never being afraid to use your voice. Children are getting molested, they're getting hurt. Why? They are afraid to use their voice. So we have to be very strong and consistent and insistent that we tell them, listen, you have a voice, don't ever be afraid to use it. Speak up. Speak up for your brother and speak up for your sister. In this day and age, it's sad that you can lose your life defending someone.
Yeah.
And God forbid that it should come to that. But that's what heroes do. They step in the line of fire.
Yeah.
And we have to train our children to be heroes, little heroes in their own worlds. And that's, we talked about the Texas shooting, that father, that husband, he became a hero that day. And I know he was looking out for the interests of his mother and his son. I'm sorry, he was looking out for the interests of his wife and his son or his child, but he still did it to save many others. And one child can speak up and change the course or the trajectory of another child. And so we have to teach our children to be light, teach them to model good, respectful behavior, and never let your voice go silent. Never be afraid to use your voice. Anastasia.
I am taken aback and in awe at the amount of information that has been given, the wealth of information that has been given, the quality of the information that has been given tonight. I thank you two so much for indulging me. I know that we have, taken a little more, we bit off a little more than we wanted to in terms of time, but it was just so good. It was just so good. We just couldn't stop and we had to keep going. And we made it to our end. And we are so grateful for the Effective Living Life Management Agency for giving us the time, giving the opportunity. I thank my guests this evening, Ernesto Williams and Madam Renelle Pierre. And if it is that any of our viewing audience wanted to get in contact with you, how can they reach you? Madam Pierre first.
I'm on Facebook, Renelle Pierre. Actually, you'll see two or three accounts under Renelle Pierre. The best way to reach me is probably to email me at Renelle Hannah, Ranel, Hannah, Hanna, at yahoo.com. And once you would have reached out, then we can exchange phone numbers that way. Renelle Hannah, Ranel, Hanna at yahoo.com.
And Mr. Williams.
Sure. So I'm thankful I don't have to go through that process to reach right now. That's a quick WhatsApp message away. But yes, if you wanted to reach out to me as well, I am on Facebook and I am on Instagram. You can look for my full name, Ernesto G. Williams, or Ernesto Williams. I do believe I am so unique that when you type that in, you will immediately find me. If you're having some difficulty, then just type in my email address or just send me an email. It's ernest1g@hotmail.com. So ERNEST, the number one, the letter G at hotmail.com. Right? So if you type that in on any of the social media platforms, on Facebook and Instagram particularly, you should find me. Or if you just send me an email directly, you will definitely get in contact with me and we could converse from there.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys coming on and giving so much wisdom to our audience tonight. And if it is that you're trying to reach me, you can find me every fifth Monday right here, Effective Living. every fifth Monday. I am with Miss Deborah Smith every fourth Saturday. I am with myself, Be Becoming, that is on Facebook and on Instagram. Facebook and on Instagram. I was thinking Twitter, and I knew it wasn't Twitter, but
Right,
Facebook and
right.
Instagram is becoming. And that is it for the night. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you for listening and spending this time with us. To my guests, I appreciate you. And to everyone else, good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.